Yes, I'd have to go through all the many regrets in my life and the many.
Woody Allen breaks his silence about Diane Keaton. Some stories aren't simple, they're not tidy, and they don't have endings you can sum up in a single line. This is one of those stories. It begins not with Hollywood glamour, but in small rooms, rehearsal studios, and walk-up apartments. Woody Allen and Diane Keaton met in 1969, when Allen was casting for his Broadway play, Play It Again, Sam. He was already a name, brilliant, neurotic, guarded. She was only 23, fresh from California, bright-eyed and deeply offbeat, her style as mismatched as her speech, and yet, somehow, she disarmed everyone in the room. Allen noticed her contradictions immediately. She was everything he wasn't, open where he was withheld, optimistic where he was skeptical, spontaneous to his painstaking calculation. Stories from those who were there say he was at once smitten and shaken, drawn in by the possibility of something entirely new. So he cast her, not just as a professional decision, but because he couldn't imagine letting her go. From this, their romance quickly formed. Within weeks, she'd moved in. Within months, friends were betting how long it could possibly last. Their differences, in a sense, set the stage for everything that would follow. He, the intellectual from Brooklyn, obsessively self-doubting. She, the California dreamer, effervescent and fully herself. He lived relentlessly in his head. She lived in the present. Where Allen collected worries, Keaton insisted on wonder, pointing out clouds, children, unexpected joy in city parks. For a while, that collision worked. Around 1969 to 1971, those closest to Allen say he was happier than anyone could remember. Diane saw past his armor, not Woody, not the persona, but the person aching to be accepted. There was freedom in her presence, a feeling of being truly seen, without analysis or judgment. But time in close quarters reveals everything. Allen's efforts to control were always wrapped in affection, but it weighed on Keaton. He wanted to refine her, intellectualize her, encourage other books, suggest changes, even correct her speech. She resisted not with open rebellion, but unshakable lightness. When critiqued, she'd smile and double down on the very thing in question, the wrong word, the odd ensemble, refusing to be remade. It pushed Allen to distraction, but also made him love her more. She was the chaos he could not organize, the one element outside his control. Arguments came, but Allen's style was never explosive. Instead, he'd dissect, questioning her choices, her very way of being. She countered simply, "You think too much," a fact that frustrated him even more because he knew it was true. The breakup began with a shift, a crack. In 1971, Diane was offered a chance to audition for a major film, The Godfather. Allen, unconvinced, dismissed it. Gangster movies, not her domain. She was meant for the stage with him. But Keaton's instinct told her otherwise. She took the part, nearly on a whim, not even reading the script. People said she was running, not just toward a new opportunity, but away from a relationship that had once been sanctuary and was now stifling. Allen met the news with cold silence, wounded more than angry. "You're choosing them over us," he finally said. It wasn't really about a film, but about independence. She left anyway. While on set, she found new energy, especially when acting opposite Al Pacino. Allen, sensing the shift, became obsessed, even from afar, worried that something vital had slipped away. When she finally returned to New York, she was changed, more centered, less deferential. Though they tried to continue, something essential had vanished. She was no longer Allen's discovery or protege. She was her own star, finally out from under the gravity of his creative orbit. The romance ended. Accounts differ as to when or who initiated the break, but by 1972, they were finished as lovers. Allen later said it was mutual. Others say Diane left. By most accounts, She was exhausted, not by a lack of affection, but by the relentless effort to be made into something else. Yet endings in real life are never tidy. 5 years after the breakup, Alan created Annie Hall and insisted Keaton star. The film was more than loosely biographical. It was directly about them. Their real arguments, their awkward moments, her personal style, all were woven into the script. Even the name Annie Hall was borrowed from Keaton's real nickname and maiden name. Some critics called the result genius. Others accused Alan of using art to rewrite their history. Keaton, for her part, called the process both painful and strange. But she did it, perhaps out of loyalty or an urge to preserve something precious, even if imperfect. Annie Hall became a phenomenon. She won the Oscar for Best Actress. They received global acclaim, but Alan's version of events softened the reality. Their real-life breakup had been chaotic and unresolved, but on screen it was rendered bittersweet, poetic. When asked directly in later years, Alan admitted that Annie Hall was his exorcism, a way to process his loss, to transform regret into something at least beautiful. If the romance was over, their collaboration never was. Over more than 40 years, Keaton appeared in 8 more of Alan's films, including Manhattan and Manhattan Murder Mystery. They maintained a strange, delicate dance, apart in their personal lives, but inextricably linked in art. Friends say he compared every actress afterward to her. None, not even those as celebrated as Mia Farrow or Cate Blanchett, matched her peculiar alchemy on screen. This ongoing connection complicated Keaton's other relationships, most notably her long affair with Pacino. He wanted commitment and her undivided presence, but Alan's creative claim always lingered. Keaton later admitted she could never quite choose anyone fully, because Alan, even from a distance, pulled her back again and again. Then scandal shattered their lives and reputations. When allegations against Alan resurfaced in 2014, Hollywood recoiled. Keaton alone stood by him, risking her career, friendships, and reputation. Her tweet, simple, unequivocal, brought a wave of condemnation. She lost work, faced attacks in the press, yet never rescinded her position. For her, loyalty was not blind forgiveness, but a reflection of decades of private conviction. Throughout 2024, her health deteriorated quietly. She did not announce her illness or ask for public sympathy. Her death, sudden and surprising, left friends and colleagues stunned. Alan, isolated at the margins of the industry, was shaken to his core. At her private funeral, he brought a photograph from their early days, a silent tribute to their shared laughter and unfixable past. In the weeks that followed, Alan opened up to those still close to him, speaking with unprecedented frankness. He admitted to failings, trying to shape Keaton, loving not who she was, but what he wanted her to be. His greatest regret at the twilight of his life: I should have just let her be. When asked why Keaton had defended him so fiercely, Alan could only express wonder at her stubborn, destructive loyalty, never requested but freely given. Their last conversation, months before she died, revealed a rare, hard-won acceptance. "I don't regret any of it," she told him. For once, he stopped analyzing and simply received the grace of her words. Alan now stands alone, looking back at decades shaped by a woman who saved him, challenged him, cared for him, and left him. Her legacy is not just in the films, awards, or iconic style, but in the complicated, indelible way she saw him, not as a persona, but as a flawed human deserving love. The truth is, not all relationships resolve. Some aren't quite romance, nor friendship, nor rivalry, but something far messier, harder to define, and ultimately more real. Woody and Diane's story resists simple explanation. She was his muse, defender, and the one who got away. He was her mentor, tormentor, and creative partner. They could not fit their connection into any one category, and neither should we. If reflecting on this story leaves you moved, consider sharing your thoughts below. Which part of their relationship do you find most perplexing? Was Diane's loyalty to Alan a flaw or a rare kind of strength? Sometimes the connections that mean the most are the ones that stay ambiguous, unsolvable, and eternal. Some loves are too tangled to last, but too powerful to end. And sometimes, the people we can't hold on to still shape us the most. Woody and Diane's legacy endures in the questions and in the art that outlasts them both.